Hi everyone. It's, it's another update. I didn't expect to sort of have so much new things to talk about today. This is now the 4th of November, so we've got a vote in Parliament today. It's also the day that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament, but it's the day that we find out exactly what's supposed to be happening. Hopefully. What I'm going to tell you is going to be exactly what is agreed. We are still waiting for some of the actual details on things, but the biggest thing is that there is a bit more out there for support for businesses like ours and like yours, and it's worth actually looking at getting it. The big one is obviously the furlough. So the furlough has been extended. So on that, the big issue there now is that we have, instead of the job support scheme, so I'd actually done an article on that on our blog just at the weekend on the new job support scheme, which is actually a lot better. But the new furlough one is actually quite good. It basically goes back to what it was in March this year, the first lockdown. The only difference now is that it's actually flexible. So it's actually better if you have people that you are going to, be working with, and you want to work, and there's no limit on what that amount is with the job support scheme that there was. So it's actually better in that respect. So what I'd say is it's furlough as it was, so that will be continued. We don't know when the payments are going to actually be made. We don't know when they are actually going to do anything officially, as in what is the mechanism to do it. We are assuming it's going to be exactly the same as we've done for all the other furloughs. So hopefully that, that should be the situation. Now, on that, it's slightly different in that what it's saying now is that you can actually see you can have up to 2.5K. Now, this doesn't mean it's prorated anymore from what we're seeing. It actually means that it is 2.5K as the maximum. So even if the person is on a bigger salary and you're working some of the days, and it's going to be, they're working like a third of the time, or 40% of the time, or whatever, and they can still claim up to 2.5K maximum. So that's quite a good thing for the employee. You will, as an employer, still have to pay employer NI. So that's at your, your 13.8%, and you'll also have to pay your pension contributions, which is the 3% on the total amount that you pay the employee. So there is that to sort of bear in mind. Now I've done some sort of calculation, and I have a spreadsheet. So if any of you are sort of interested to know what, if you pay them, so it's just coming up now, if you pay them something, what the cost would be to you, and what they would potentially get, the employee, let me know. I mean, one thing you sort of look at is 20%. So if you're paying out 20% of the time that you want them to work, so that's effectively, if they're 5 days a week, they work 1 day a week, then what that means is that they will get 84% of their salary. You will actually have to pay 64% of the onward. Oh, sorry, you will pay 20%, obviously, because that's what you normally pay. But on that 84%, you'd pay the employer NI. That's due at a 13.8% above the £732 a month, and then also the 3% pension as well above the basic rate of the lower rate for NI. Then you would get a grant of 64% of the unworked time that they did, so of their time, which is 80% of the unworked time. So that works out to be 80% of 80% is 64%. So you get 64% grant to pay them the 84%. Obviously, you contribute 20%. So in that, what that means is that the employee is getting a good deal. You're getting 1 day's work, and you're not having to pay anything extra. On the job support scheme, which is the one that was supposed to start in November, they had increased that, so you got more, but it would have cost you a lot more money, cost you, and the employee wouldn't have got as much. So you'd have actually paid 5% of the unworked time. They'd have to work 20% of the time at least. Obviously, you could do that pro rata across the whole month. So they could work more days in one week and less in another, as long as it was at least 20%. But that's the job support scheme. Now, the job support scheme should still come into effect in December if we're out of lockdown and they don't move furlough on. It is a moving environment, so we have absolutely no idea what the situation is. I have a quick question from you, Claire, which is the furlough extended from the end of October? As I thought it had been stated from the 5th of November, it leaves. So yes, we've got it until the end of this month, and then they're going to reassess it. So we have it for November. It's been extended and it's better. The job support scheme was going to come in. So we've got more money as a grant, as a business, if you're not going to have your employee working 100% of the time. So it saves the employee not getting their full whack, and you will actually get some grant for them. You will have to do it through the same furloughing that you did before, so we would do that as well. So I've got another question. Yeah, Neil, you can ask them via the question one. It doesn't matter, either one. I'll pick them up. I may pick them up at the end if I don't pick all the questions up. But so at the moment, it's looking good for the furlough, which is the job retention scheme, not to be confused with the job support scheme, which is the new one coming in at the end of this. So it's a job retention scheme, otherwise known as furlough grants. So that was the first one that I sort of really wanted to talk about. And if you've got questions on that, let me know, and I will answer them. Just make sure that I've covered everything on that just now. Bear with me. So that the only thing to note there is we don't know when the payments for this furlough will come, because on the job support scheme, so I'm getting my mouth twisted over this, JSS, otherwise known, that's the one after this furlough is ending, which is sort of December time. The job support scheme should start. That is going to the job support scheme, the JSS, will be paid after you've actually paid the employee. So you'd actually be doing it in arrears. So you'd be paying first and then claiming that. With this new extension of the furlough, the job retention scheme, we don't really know if it's going to carry on how it was, in that you get the payment up front at the same time virtually as you pay your employees. I'm assuming it will be, but they are still going to be informing us of this. So it's all changed. Literally on Monday, lots of this sort of came in. They were talking about it on Monday, on the weekend. I think that was a leak. And then what we've got now is Parliament today voting for it. So it should all happen. I don't see why it won't. But this is how it should be. So job support scheme, the JSS, I have sort of talked about. The JSS open and there's a JSS close, and these were going to start the 1st of November, but obviously that's not happening now because of our lockdown number 2. So that is going to probably happen in December. I'll do one of these webinars again then, just to make sure that we're all in line and know what's actually happening, and if there's any more information, I'll do one more of these webinars at any point, just to make sure that we're getting the message out to everybody and all of you guys, and you can ask anything. Obviously, we're here. If you've got questions, just email me and I'll get back to you, or ring in, because it isn't always that that easy to sort of understand and navigate what's happening. So we'll still be supporting the furlough. So if we are furloughing your team, we will still be doing that. Vincent will be contacting you, but we just need to find out exactly what's happening and how we have to report this. Like I said, we're assuming it's exactly the same. So that's really that on the job support scheme and the new extended furlough. What I think might happen is on the furlough is that it might get extended again. So if we have a further lockdown, because they're obviously going to review it, they say it's only going to be 4 weeks, they'll probably review that, and if it does get, move forward as well. The furlough extends now. Basically, it's for the month of November. So it's now. So don't worry about the dates in November. We'll be doing it for the whole of the salary. Effectively, it is probably the 5th of November, because that's when salaries go, Neil. That's you, Rob. But it's basically your salary that we do in November. So a question from Neil. So if I now can't do JSS, can I apply for the team for flexible? Yes. And this is what Neil, this is exactly what we'll be doing for you for November. It will be the furlough, which is the job retention. It's better for you because you get 80% of as a grant of what they don't work, instead of £61.67%. And the employee gets more of that as well. Also, you don't have to contribute 5%, which you do on the JSS, of not unworked time. So that makes it easier for you as well, sort of just to pay the 20% plus all employer NI and pensions. So that's the sort of one that's the issue. It's all employer NI and pensions. So that should all be, so that's all going to be happening. So it's for the salaries for November. All salaries run from basically, the 5th November, to, on a date there. That's just historic, but we always run it from the month. Now, the other one I just wanted to mention is the bounce back loans. I mean, we have mentioned this before, but there is an extension of when you can actually apply for one. So if you haven't applied for one, I would recommend you do this. And that's going to be from the 31st of January. Now, the other thing is you can top it up. So you could only get up to £50,000. So which was like 20% of your revenue. So what you want to be doing, if you haven't used that, is just top it up. So get it all topped up. As the deadline's now the 31st of January, it was going to be the end of November. There is a backlog there. So it's capped at 25% of turnover. Apologies, not 20%. So 25% of your turnover. So if you haven't got the full amount, please do, because if you wish to have it, it's a really good interest rate, 2.5%, and you don't pay for the first 12 months, and then you pay it after that, and you won't get any loan ever that cheap. Now, on that bounce back loan, you can also extend it to 10 years. Now, I'd say that you can't do that until nearer when you're actually looking at starting to pay. So after nearer the 12 months to your bank, the banks are overrun massively now. So it's taking people a long time, because lots of people are trying to set up bank accounts, business bank accounts, because you cannot get a bounce back loan if you have not got a business bank account. Now, what a lot of people have done is to try and save, bank charges. They haven't set themselves up a business bank account. Now, it is illegal if you're a limited company. You shouldn't be doing that, but people have. And that's why banks are inundated with people setting up new business banking. So if you are thinking of it, get it started as soon as you can, if you haven't done so, and the top up. But then when it comes to extending it to the 10 years, what that means is your actual payments are going to be less, because your capital repayment will be less. Your interest will be the same, but your capital repayment will be less. So you will end up paying less on a monthly. Obviously, you'll pay more interest over that full 10 years, but you can pay the bounce back loan at any point without any penalty, and it's 100% backed by the government. So they are the best loans out there for anybody, better than a personal loan, better than anything. So if you do think you may need it in your business, I would highly recommend it. And I have done all the way through. Now, just another one. If you are self-employed, there's a third self-employment income support scheme now available, and that's going to be starting just very shortly. I think it's in November. Let me just check the date that starts. It was originally going to be open on the 14th of December. Now it's the 30th of November. So it's just been brought forward to the end of this month. So it's open there. Now it's slightly different from the last ones in that it's now you have to say that you have an impact on your business by reduced demand due to COVID. That's within the qualifying period, which is sort of basically you can get up to £5,660 lump sum covering 55% of the 3 months worth of average monthly profits. That's if you've done a self-assessment for 18-19 tax return. And that's made up of 80% average monthly profits for November and 40% of average monthly profits in December and January. So it runs from November to January, this, and you get 3 months and a maximum of 516. It's all the same. So it's the SEISS, so the self-employed sort of grant that they offer. So you can apply for that from the 30th of January. If you're a limited company, this is not for you. This is for the self-employed who do sole trader accounts and get this basically. And it's a very good, it's very good. They get it. They can still work, but the difference, as in before, they just have to say it was impacted slightly. This is reduced demand. So if you not have got any reduced demand, you can't qualify for this. So it's narrowing down what you, the people that are actually able to qualify for this. And you also have to have earned more than 50% of your total income from self-employment, and it has to be a trade. So it's not dividend income and things like that. It's actually your traded income that they should be looking at on this. If you need to know more about this, let me know on the sole trader. And you can't also have an average profit, must be less than £50,000 in your 18-19 tax return. Now, if you are that much profit, you shouldn't be a sole trader. You should be a limited company for tax efficiency. So none of you guys, from who are sole traders would be in that bracket if you're working with us. So just one more thing, and the last one, and then there's some questions that come in. I'll go through, and if you've got more questions, do pop them in. And that's the grants for business in England forced to close due to this lockdown, basically, or if they're struggling in tier 2. Obviously, this is now gone forward because it's totally locked down for England. So you get grants up to 3,000. Now this is sort of for the pubs, for hairdressers, whatever, beauticians, people who have premises and have to close because they are unable to do work and they're not allowed to by the government. So, and you have to be closed for at least 3 weeks in order to get it. You have to contact your local authority as soon as you are closing, and then they will actually help you. It's all done by local government. It's done by your rates, taxable value. So it's not open to everybody, and it's only if you closed or infected badly by it. But again, it's all interpretation by your local authorities. So if you're a small business, the rateable value below 15,000, you're entitled to 1,300 per month. And then if you're medium sized, that's the rateable value of 15 to 51,000 is £2,000 per month. If you're a large business with the rateable value over 51,000, you can claim £3,000 per month. So it's only for those who are having to close down, like pubs, hairdressers, beauty salons, some shops that are non-essentials, and you have premises, and it's per premise this. So we got everybody who had rateable value got something from the government, the local government automatically in the first lockdown. In this lockdown, you have to go to the local government yourself and then tell them that you're affected, and then they will assess you and then let you have the grant, however that is paid into your bank account. So, there was one more thing. There was more on this than I thought, because I just wanted to make sure everybody's clear on anything out there right now, and things have been changing just to make sure that you are up to date with everything that's there. Now, the one last thing I was going to talk about is the VAT. So the VAT deferment that you could have done from March and June 2020's VAT. So you were referring that to the 2021, March 21. If you have deferred that, you now can defer it again and pay it over and spread it over the tax year 21-22. So that's between the 6th of April 2021 and the 5th of April 22. Now, I would say that speak to HMRC in March, closer to the payment time. If you want to do this, don't do it just now. and then request that of them. You'll have to do it yourself and speak to them. If you need a number for the VAT, let me know, and my team or myself will let you have that. But I'd say wait until March time to do that, because then there will be sort of wanting to spread it from there onwards. So that's your VAT deferred, only if you deferred it from the March, June, which is the first lockdown deferment. So I hope that sort of just explains that if you weren't quite clear on that. I'm not sure. We have mentioned it before. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, please put them in. I'm just checking. I have got some questions that were here. Oh, I've got some more. Let me just double check. Just double checking. Cool. I've got a question here. Yeah, Philip. Yeah, if for the bounce back loan, if you've not made, oh well, the bounce back loan is actually non-profit, so that's on revenue, and it's also on almost expected revenue as well. So it's not necessarily on what was recorded. So it's quite an interesting one there because they don't ask for any clarification of it. Philip, if you want to ask another question as well, just follow up on that, because I'm not quite clear on the profits as a sole trader. It is only if you were profitable, and it's on your profits as a sole trader that you can get the self-employed grant, and that's only for, it's not for anyone unlimited. The only thing as a limited you can get is your furlough on your own salary, or anyone else's salary. So if you're a sole director, you can actually get that yourself. And then there's the bounce back loan. So unfortunately, there is nothing for dividend income that you may take off any limited company. Sunak has said the reason for that is because you would be very difficult to actually ascertain if you're getting it from your business or if you're getting it from the likes of Shell or anything like that. So they just said no to that. There is a petition out there for people who do work from limited companies, their own limited companies, because people pay themselves a small salary and a large dividend if they're able to. So unfortunately, there is nothing on that. I'm just going to go through some of the questions. So do pop them in if you've got any other ones. And if I haven't covered them, do please pop them in. So great question is, what if an employee is only working 1 day a week? And this is on the new furlough. So on the job support scheme that was supposed to come in, that's absolutely fine. And I know, Neil, we've spoken about this in some lengths when that was the case. So 1 day a week is 20. If you're working 5 days a week, that's effectively 20% of the time. So that was fine on the JSS. On the new furlough extension, you don't actually have to work. They don't have to work at all, and then that will actually be eligible for the 80% grant on all of the time not worked, which wasn't on the JSS. So I'm just parking that for a minute on the JSS just to stop confusing you. That's a job support scheme that is going to take over from this extension of furlough, the job retention scheme. With 1 day a week, you would effectively pay 20%, because that if they work 5 days a week, they would get a grant for 80% of the 80% not work. So that means you'd get a grant of 64%. I've sort of mentioned this one already. And then they would get 84% with the employee. You'd get 1 day's work, and they'd be getting 4 days of non-work for 84%. You'd pay employer NI and pension on the total that you pay them. Now, we don't know when you get that grant from this extended furlough. We're just assuming it's the same. Sorry, there's a follow-up question. So the new furlough scheme is good, Philip, it's a good question. How long is it going to last, this new furlough extension? Now, we don't know because they're going to be reassessing it. So it could be extended to December. It could just be month by month. So there's no clear cut there. With the job support scheme, which was supposed to happen November here, that was going to be going on until April for 6 months basically. So it's going to start in November and go to April. So if the job support scheme that takes over, that would be useful, Philip, for you. Obviously, we'll talk about that nearer the time, but let's see if they extend this over. But then that would go either to April, then just only an extra 5 months that after this furlough, or it may even go till May. I honestly don't know on that. I don't think they will either, only because I mean they are doing a good job on getting these grants out. They've changed their mind, obviously, on having to lock down because they've seen all the graphs and everything, what's going to potentially happen. Everyone's got different views on it. And it's a bit more of an interesting case this time. Oh, yeah, and you had a question. I think I may have answered this, but I will just cover it again. This was a previous question. So with 80% grant applied on furlough hours, will the government support only the deduction and contributions due? So the government won't support, so they will just do the salary, so 80%. So unfortunately, you will have to do, as an employer, the company will have to pay the employer NI, which is above is 13.8%, and the pension, so 16.8% on whatever they paid, obviously above the lower rate before you pay the employer NI, which is about £732. So I hope that fixes that query. I'm sure I've already answered that already anyway. Yeah. The other question was, how do I extend the bounce back loan? So I sort of tried to, I'm not 100% sure, but my understanding is that you want to contact the bank near the 12 months period and then start, before you start paying the interest. You can actually do it after that anyway, if you suddenly want to extend it. But as I said, they snowed under the banks. I mean, we're having new clients trying to set up bank accounts and having a nightmare just because nobody wants to set them up, and it's taken a long time. They're actually referring people to online banking just because they've been really sort of difficult. Thanks, Philip. I'm glad I answered your question, and take care. So that's the bounce back loan. But to be honest, with these bounce back loans, I highly recommend them. I have got another question on that. Let me just follow that quickly on the back of that one. Yeah, I did not get the bounce back loan and not sure I will need it. Can I wait until near January 2021 for the deadline? Now, my advice is I wouldn't. I really wouldn't wait, because the longer you wait, they're taking a long time now. At the start, they didn't actually take so long. So it was actually really quite quick, because I did one because I'm never going to get 2.5% and 1 year free. I'm never going to get it. So I may as well get it. If I don't want it, I can pay it back. There's no penalty, and I'm not really paying anything for it. So I'd recommend you get it, and then get the maximum as well, but then pay it back. I mean, this is my recommendation. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm an accountant, but I'm just saying, as a business owner, I would prefer to have that money in my business, sitting there, being able to help my business, help me, and then pay it back as I'm required to. It is 100% guaranteed by the business, by the government. So it's on the business as well. So the credit rating theoretically should go against the business, not you personally, and it's guaranteed by the bank. I think we've done. I mean, there's so many. The statistic for how many loans have gone out is amazing. It's phenomenal. And the millions of pounds that have gone for this. Unfortunately, there could be some fraud in it as well. But as a business owner, I would recommend it to keep you going if you need it in the future. It isn't for you taking out director's loans, by the way. It's for the business, because then you'll have a problem when it comes to actually paying off your director's loan, and we don't really want that. Yeah, Mandy, yeah, and I actually think that's a really good point Mandy makes. I don't know if you've seen in the chat there that she got the bounce back round really good to have the cushion, and it helps to make the decision to help pivot the business without having to worry. Now, this is what we're finding with a lot of our partners, our clients. They are Pivoting, and Bandy, you are one of them. I mean, we've got some, unfortunately, who are in industries which they're not able to work in, like, you know, the theatre scenery for one, and you know, they're pivoting and actually trying to do workshops for people wanting to come and do work in their work environment. So if you know anybody who needs a place to work, like a tradesman or anything like that, or they doing some workshop, or even working, and that I think just in as individual, they actually doing that and pivoted on there. So they've kitted it out specifically for, you know, people to come in and do their own businesses within there. So using this bounce back loan for that is brilliant. You know, that's good to hear. Good to hear that you agree, Bandy. Another question, just this is on the JSS, so the job support scheme. So is the new job support scheme worth looking at once that starts? Now, I had said in previous webinar, no, just because it wasn't very useful, in that if you were thinking of making people unemployed or keeping them on that, it was actually better to make them unemployed, because you weren't getting much from it. With a new one, it definitely is, because you get 61.67 or 61.7% grants on whatever they don't work. They have to work 20% of the time, and you have to pay 5%. So your contribution is about, it's not 100%, 25% of whatever their salary is, and then also the employer NI and pension on the total amount they get paid. So it's a lot less and well worth it, especially if you want to keep that employee, because then you can, once you start, you know, needing them, you can actually start utilizing it, and it's flexible. So as long as you're working 20%, it has to be minimum 20% from that period, but it's flexible in that 20%. When you have the 20%, you know, one day, 1 week, maybe 3 days the next, and then 2 weeks off or something. But you can also work more than that. They can work 5 days, so it can be, you know, 66% of the time they actually work. We will cover that again, just to make sure that everybody is clear what it is and everything. On the VAT extension, I've got another question. Well, I've got a question on that. VAT. Oh, sorry, no, let me just see that. How do I do the VAT extension period for the deferred VAT? I've sort of covered that, and that's probably why I covered it. So I think that you just have to do it near the time. So I would wait until March and then do it then. So near the time when you should be paying. You could probably do it February as well, but I think it's better doing it near a time and then asking for that payment to be deferred over whatever period you want, and it can be up to a year, up to well, effectively the 5th of April 2022, but I'd say up until end of March 2022. So that's quite a handy thing for cash flow if you suddenly need that, or you will want that. Oh, the closure grant. So I've got a question. Can I get the closure grant even if we have not closed? Now, this is more if you are totally impacted by this closure. I think you can potentially ask your local government. So it's worth speaking to them. This is if you've got premises and you sort of on the rateable scheme. It doesn't mean that you have to be paying rates, but you have to be on at least a small rate value. So rateable value. So yes, I would actually try and contact your local government. Around here it's Tunbridge Wells. It's always worth requesting it, see what they will do. If you have had to close totally, then yes, you should definitely be eligible. If you are affected by it, then you should theoretically still, because it actually says if you're affected as well, it may be a lower amount, but it's up to each local government. So unfortunately, there's no fail-safe yes or no there, but I would, you may as well ask. You can't help. It's definitely worth asking. Okay, well, I've actually come to the end of all the questions. So if you don't have any more, if you have more, just put them in. But the furlough is back on. It's better than it was even in March, in that it's flexible this time. It's 80% and it's flexible. And it's definitely worth bearing in mind if you don't require your team to work 100% of the time in November. And then, speak to us, let us know. Vincent will be collating all that, and we'll have a go at that. So I hope you have enjoyed that. I hope it has been insightful. If you have any questions, thanks, Mandy. If you have any questions, please do let me know, and we will follow up. We try to help you all as much as we possibly can. We do the webinars only because it covers absolutely everything, and we'll be sending out the video. It's on our YouTube channel, so you can sign up to that. There's not that much there yet. We will be doing more webinars going forward in January on how to help you as business owners sort of grow your business and organize your business better as well, and do things better, just to try and help everybody, grow their businesses through these hard times and just help you. We will constantly be doing these. So, and if you've got any ideas of things that you might want us to talk about in a webinar, let me know, because we're here to try and help you and help everyone else. So yeah, I'm really, just be positive. I know it's a bit negative. I've got lots of friends and obviously partners and clients who are, it's not good for, but I would always recommend looking at anything that we can help you with, and anything that the government can help with you, just because it's definitely there for us all. And let's hope for brighter times in 2021. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. And I hope it has been useful. Any pointers, let me know. I mean, there is our YouTube channel, but it is literally these at the moment. There will be more coming. And if you know anybody who finds these might find this useful, just forward our video or YouTube on. That'd be really good. Brilliant. Okay, I've got, Neil, what's this then? Sorry, Neil, well done. No. Brief chat, just. All right, yeah, I'll have a chat with you, Neil, later. That's absolutely fine. Anyway, if there's anything else, let me know. Drop me an email, and it's been really good to have you all on board. And do forward like this. I say the YouTube video on anyone who might find it useful. And thank you for joining us. Take care. Thank you, and be safe. Bye.